Real excited to show you the X Mansion build, 3,093 pieces. Let's go. First part of the build is the Sentinel, which is very playable. Really love the colors. Really like the head too. One thing about the head, it's a printed piece, which is fantastic, but it's one of the few printed pieces you have in this build. A lot of stickers. Probably the best part of the Sentinel for me is he can be posed in a million different ways because of the way the arms and the legs are built. Very fun. Then we start getting into the minifigures, start with Professor X, and this is hilarious. His body is the exact same as the Michael Scott from The Office. And this Wolverine is very accurate to the comics, which is very cool. Then we start into the building, and the first part is the very center. And you're just kind of working on the foundation here, though. It is very cool, though. If you look, they're going to add the tile in front of the front door, and this yellow and red X they put on the floor. Very cool, all done with tiles. Here's a Jean Grey minifigure, which is very cool. And a common theme among all the minifigures in this set, generally go after the comics as opposed to the movies. Never a big fan of fake elevators within a Lego building, and it's happened a few times in the last couple years. I get it, though, because it's a huge real estate issue if you want to have a working elevator. Now, you saw the red coffee cup that was kind of hidden inside the build above the elevator. That was just a little running joke from the Lego designer, who is also did that in the Avengers Tower. A lot of stickers to help add a lot of those details on this floor and throughout the build. You get a sense here of just how tight a lot of these floors are because there's so much detail. There's a new good-looking Cyclops minifigure. I do like how this building is designed in modules, so it can be easily taken apart, adds more playability. It does add a little bit of monotony to the build. You're building the corners, and the basic structure of each floor is just about the same. And after a while, you get a little bit tired of all. It takes a lot of little pieces, too, to get those corners right, and you have to do it on every floor. Again, it's designed very much like one of the city modular sets in that it's very easily comes apart and together, and like this stacks right on top. I really like the Storm minifigure. Again, it's a fun new cape, and also, much like the other minifigures, very harkens back to the comics more than it does the movies. Really like how they designed the roof too. Fairly simple blue slopes and coloring, but really like the gray bunting on the front there. It's a nice detail. And then as far as playability goes, they're able to work in that white rotunda at the top. You were able to hit a button and it comes apart like it explodes. Very much like an X-Man battle can be easily recreated with details like that. So we're about 1/3 of the way through the build, and before we get too far into the next part, here is the very first Lego Gambit minifigure. And really like how that was designed. Only thing I wish is those playing cards were printed pieces instead of stickers. That was kind of a bummer. One feature on this part of the building that at first I wasn't a big fan of, but it's growing on me now that I've completed the build, is they were working a fight scene into the design of this, in that in the front there, you're designing into it the debris laying around like the building's been attacked. They do provide the pieces so that you can design it so it doesn't have that battle scene, though, so which I kind of like. There is a 2-story room that they're designing into this part of the build, which I believe is like a training room for the X-Men. Issue I have with it, and you can kind of see inside, a lot of neat detail, but it is, again, it's so tight, it's almost impossible, even if you're able to take the building apart, to be able to get minifigures in there and do much with them. The designers are trying hard to make it playable, as you can see here, with lots of parts of the walls come out pretty easily, but even with taking those parts of the walls out, it is kind of hard to get minifigures in there and do much. Then we add the roof on this part of the building. Again, the design takes off of what we did in the middle. Looks pretty good. And then you can see with those red pieces in the red Technic pieces there, how the buildings, parts of the building kind of snap together. It is kind of a nice design. They go together and they stay together. Then we move to the third and final part of the build, and on the ground floor here we are creating a classroom for the X-Men students. And you'll see, again, it's very fun details, and there's some things that screens that slide, the bookcase is real well done. It's just the tightness, again. There's only room for 2 desks, which is not much of a classroom when you can only have room for 2 students. Then the second floor of this part of the build, a couple things in here. A little bedroom where a couple students can stay, and then also a little laboratory. Again, it's the details that really make this part of the build stand out. Just like the little dresser between the beds. Again, very well done. So we finish off this part of the build, and again, the roof is an exact mirror image of what we use on the left side. Only thing I thought was funny, though, it does have a different style of chimney from the one on the other side of the building. I thought that was a little bit strange, but not losing any sleep over it either. All right, now we've got all 3 parts of the building complete and together. One of the last things you do is the very fun new Magneto minifigure. And then we finish it off with a few details and some signage for the front of the building. For me, the minifigures were the best part about this build. Really well done, and a lot of them unique to this set. Really love these minifigures. As far as the build goes, it was okay. Again, you have to realize this is not built on the scale of other modular buildings. So once you get over that and realize what it is to stand on its own, it really a nice ode to Marvel and the X-Mansion and the Marvel characters. Very solid. Glad I invested in it.